Hey, what's up, nerds? Paul Conti here with my first ever battle report, doing 2,000 points of Free People versus Skaven. This is one of my earliest games with the General's Handbook, so we decided to go without any of the battle plans in the General's Handbook and just go with straight up killing each other. To the lists before we get too far off track here. Number one really was that I forgot a whole bunch of models at home, so I had to redo a bunch of stuff on the fly here. So this list was sort of suboptimal, but kind of, accomplished some of the things that I was really trying to do, I think. So I went with a general on a griffin as my general, Vulcan on horseback to be sort of a hunter-killer, Fey Enchantress to give some buffs. I meant to have a Celestial Hurricanum in there, and that didn't happen because I forgot it at home. A trebuchet, some swordsmen, some handgunners, and some halberdiers. Don't be confused with the swordsmen that look like great swords. I forgot my swordsman at home, so I subbed in some great swords. This way also I had a fully painted army on the table, and so did my opponent, so it was very pretty. 2 units of demigryphs, 2 units of Empire Knights, and the Brotherhood of Knights Battalion to give them all +1 attack on the charge. So super powerful for only 80 points. I feel like that's an undercosted battalion for how little you can throw into it. Alright, so 2 deployments. Way over on my left flank, underneath that Griffin wing, we'll see some Empire Knights backed up by some Demigryph Knights. Then the Griffin, kind of a little bit out to the flank. Then controlling the center, I've got swordsmen backed up by handgunners, and behind them trebuchet on the edge of the board. On my right flank, I've got another unit of Empire Knights and another unit of Demigryph Knights. Vulcan is hanging out with them, and then on my furthest flank, we've got my unit of halberdiers. So, what was the general concept I was going with here? I wanted to control the center with shooting and some defense with the swordsmen. They can take a lot of damage. They got a 4-up save, re-rolling ones, so they really absorb a lot out of the opponent. And then also control the center with my handgunners with a lot of area denial. And then on the flanks, I've got some heavy armored cavalry, so they're going to be able to take a licking and return a licking. And then on my furthest flank off to the right, Vulcan is going to be kind of hunter-killer, going after targets of opportunity, and the halberdiers are going to kind of fill in the gap on the right flank after those knights all advance. They're going to sort of fill in the back and protect the flank. On my opponent's side, you can see off to my left side, he's got a unit of 6 rat ogres. In that tower, there is a warp lightning cannon hanging out there. Then he's got a Screaming Bell, 3 units of clan rats that are screening in the front of a unit of 30 storm vermin, a doom wheel way off to the right, and then a couple of heroes intermixed in as well. It's just a couple of shots of my opponent's deployment from his perspective. And his rat ogres. There's also a character in the rat ogres there buffing them. And then a shot across the battlefield of my deployment from my opponent's perspective. So, turn 1. Pretty much advanced everything up. I wanted to put a lot of pressure on early with all of my knights. I want my knights, the Empire Knights, those are going to be really to screen and chaff up my opponent. The Demigryphs are going to be there to do the heavy hitting in back of them. The swordsmen advance, those are going to be really designed to take a charge and to screen for the handgunners. The handgunners kind of clump up into the center there. Everything else just sort of advances. My halberdiers fill the gap. Vulcan gets ready for a charge as well. My opponent's turn, he advances up his... well, the first thing he does is... Oh, yes, so I'm sorry. Movement first. He advances up his rat ogres and some of his clan rats. I believe the Screaming Bell stayed about where it was. The Warp Lightning Cannon, that took out a Demigryph and a quarter. On my left flank, which kind of sucked. That began his you know, really good string of rolls off of that Warp Lightning Cannon. He did really well with that this game. After that, we moved to charges. My opponent moved in on my Empire Knights with his Clan Rats, which they made short work of those Clan Rats, so those Empire Knights were really doing exactly what they wanted to do, and the Rat Ogres failed their charge, so that was like doubly good for me. That was exactly what I wanted to have happen. On the other side of the battlefield, not really a lot happened on my opponent's end. This is back to my movement phase. I moved my Empire Knights off to the right flank to chaff up that Doom Wheel. Vulcan advances. The Demigryphs start to cross the center. And that is to start going after those Storm Vermin. And you'll see here, most of the Clan Rats were taken out by my handgunners. So I really cleared away his chaff pretty effectively with those, which was really a really pretty good game plan. As you'll see here, my markers on my Demigryph Knights, I threw a whole bunch of buffs on those guys because they are about to charge over on the left flank. I cleared out the rest of the Clan Rats on his turn, so my Empire Knights on my turn, they turned and made a move over towards his Rat Ogres. Now, I wanted to limit the number of attacks that those Rat Ogres were going to get on my Empire Knights. You'll also notice that there's a lot less Rat Ogres there than once were. I got a really great roll off of my Trebuchet, scored 11 damage off of that on one roll, which, of course, I'll make up for later in the game when I really needed it, but in the meantime, I really depleted the power of those Rat Ogres pretty considerably, and they're going to get chaffed up by those Knights for quite a while there. And the left flank Demigryphs advance as well, getting ready for a charge on the center. So this is after charges. My Empire Knights all the way on the right flank charged the Doom Wheel. I didn't want the Doom Wheel to be able to get its charge off because it gets some bonuses on the charge. Vulcan went into some of the Clan Rats, and then both of my units of Demigryphs made it into the Storm Vermin, thankfully, which was pretty awesome. So I've got 5 Demigryphs on the charge against a unit of 20-some Storm Vermin, which very quickly became like 5 Storm Vermin. I believe I took out about 20 of them in one battle round, which was pretty awesome. I'm sorry, not battle round, one turn, one round of combat. So they really blasted through those very effectively. Now you'll notice that the Screaming Bell is being left untouched, which is really going to lead to my demise in this game. Everything at this point seems like it is going swimmingly for me. I'm taking out all kinds of models, pulling tons of his models off the board, and I'm not really losing much. So this is what it looked like after combat. After Battle Shock, there was no Storm Vermin left to speak of, no Clan Rats left to speak of, a couple of characters, a Screaming Bell, a Doom Wheel, and the propensity of my army still hanging out. My losses from this turn, I lost 5 Knights and 3 Demigryphs, along with 1 Swordsman. His losses, a giant pile of stuff. And spoiler alert, this ended up still not going well for me, because I made a critical error in this game. So next turn, we're still chaffing up that Doom Wheel, taking out the last of the things that are in our way in the center of the board. The Empire Knights, after the Doom Wheel is taken care of, charge across and take out, start working on the characters that are there along with Vulcan. He had managed to take down the rest of my Demigryphs, mostly with that Screaming Bell, which is outrageously powerful, and I should not have been leaving alone all that time. And you'll see here, I charged my halberdiers into that Screaming Bell, and that pile of dudes on their side there is what happened. They just got smoked by the Screaming Bell. It was really bad news. So I wasn't really doing a lot of damage to that Screaming Bell. It was far more effective than I would have liked it to be. And here we have a little bit of dice shaming. I later on in the game, when I really needed it, I took a shot at that Screaming Bell and scored 2 wounds, and they both went unsaved, and then I rolled Snake Eyes. That really blew. I did eventually take out that Screaming Bell with a charge from the Fey Enchantress. The Fey Enchantress was the one that finally took the stupid thing down. But you notice that I basically have nothing left on the board at this point because of the Screaming Bell and the Warp Lightning Cannon and all of the other crap that he was slowly picking me apart with. He got lots of really good rolls on that Warp Lightning Cannon. His heroes stuck it out really hard. And I was basically left with nothing at the end, and he still had a Warp Lightning Cannon and a bunch of heroes, which made quick work of the Fey Enchantress because she is certainly not battle ready. Left me at this point with a handful of handgunners left, and my trebuchet, which were going to be absolutely no match for what he had there. So we called the game here. I conceded defeat, and that is the game. So just some thoughts from this. The Brotherhood of Knights Battalion worked really well. I really like how that played. I will probably be playing that again at some point in the future. A big lesson here for me was, and this was, for our viewers of Tactica Tuesday, this was one of my misplays of the day. I went into this completely ignoring the Screaming Bell for most of the game, and it did a tremendous amount of damage to me. And I really had plenty of opportunity early on to take the thing out, and I did not go after it, and I really should have. I was so concerned about the Storm Vermin that I completely neglected the Screaming Bell. I was concerned about the Rat Ogres. I ignored the Warp Lightning Cannon on the same flank. So a lot of mistakes there, and overall, it was a fantastic game. This is one of the most fun games of Age of Sigmar that I have ever played. It was back and forth the whole time. It looked like I was going to have the game in the bag early on. I took out tons of his stuff, but his powerful units ended up slowly clawing their way through the rest of what I had there. So, those are really my big takeaways. I think my game plan in general worked pretty well. The big problem that I ran into was that I really ignored my opponent's most valuable stuff on the battlefield in favor of going for body count, which turned out to be a really, really bad idea. So focus fire, choose your targets, and I think this game would have gone a lot differently for me. Since I really just had so much power on the board and had such an early advantage, and I really neglected those more valuable targets. Anywho, hope that was enjoyable for all you guys. It was kind of a quick one, rushed through it a little bit because some of the details were pretty fuzzy, but that is it for now, and I will talk to you all later. See you all later.